Alright, hi guys. This video that I'm creating now, I don't know if it would be necessarily be called part 4, but in this video, I got a treat for you guys. It's going to be 3 parts within this video where there are 3 different examples of energy fighting. The first example will be escaping a pursuer, the second one will be maintaining energy advantage over 2 opponents, and the third will be the one thing that you never do in a 109, stall fighting. I hope you enjoy. Oh, and I'll also be uploading the timestamps, so instead of you having to watch the whole video, you can fast forward to every part. At this point right here, I noticed that there was a yak on my 6, so I level out to gain speed. I know the yak is climbing in order to stay on my 6 o'clock, so all the while he's climbing, he's wasting energy in order to stay there, while as I climb, it's not as energy inefficient because this plane excels at climbing. Once I know I've got enough altitude over the yak, I dive down. But then I see he tries to come meet me, so I go right back up. Then I notice that I have another pursuer on my tail. And what I do at this point is I just go into a slow, steady spiral climb. Whenever you have a trailer, guys, the best thing to do, especially if it's a yak or any Russian plane for that matter, is to incorporate some kind of spiral climb. It's a good way to maintain your energy due to your more effective climbing power, and also drain them of theirs. And once I normally reach around 300 kilometers an hour, like as you notice, I look at my speedometer a lot, I start dropping my flaps. 300 kilometers an hour is a good indicator of when you should drop your flaps. And as you see, I spin out of control here, horrible rudder control. And due to that, I get into a close fight with this yak because I messed up that maneuver. this is a situation we don't want to be in with the yak, so try to avoid it at all costs. But it's also a good example of how to maneuver in such a close situation with a plane that actually excels in this kind of fight. One thing you guys will notice throughout this fight is I always try to put myself in a position where I'm above him. I'm always forcing him to climb to meet me. I never want to get below him, I always want to stay above. Right here, I just try to stay right above him. I want him to point his nose up. And right here, I'm kicking rudder, I'm floating. I'm doing it kind of poorly, but I'm floating my butt off to stay above him and get him to stall first. Once again, I come over the top of him. He tries to squeeze off some shots. And that last shot ripped off his wing. I don't know if you can see it or not, but he's going to a death spiral there. And he's done. And like I said earlier, I'm going to include some timestamps in here so you guys can just click around to the parts that you want to see, so you don't have to watch me fly around aimlessly. Alright guys, coming up in a minute. I noticed two enemy planes below me. I think one's a yak, one's a Levunchkin. And in this part you're going to see or watch me demonstrate how to fight two opponents and maintain your energetic advantage. I'm diving down to gain speed as I turn. Low yo-yo, I guess you could say. Now what happens here is this yak's fairly close, so what I do is I go up in the vertical, I roll inverted. He's following this move, so he's draining more energy than I am. And once I roll inverted, I flatten out at the very top and just watch him fall back down. He can't copy that maneuver, he just does not have the climb rate or the engine power to do so. It's a good maneuver to do. It's kind of just made that up, but the yak nor the Levunchkin can follow a maneuver of that that caliber. At this point, I'm kicking left rudder so I can float down slowly, I guess like a skid to the right. Go back up in the vertical. Like I said earlier, guys, you always want to stay above your opponents. Never dip below them at all costs if you can avoid it. As long as you stay above your opponents, they'll never really have a chance to get shots on you. And right there, take note of that, guys. Never try to turn with your opponent, even if you're trying to get a gun solution. If he gets to a point where he's pulling too many G's, just break off and climb, because you don't want to waste your energy trying to pursue an opponent when you could just go back up in the vertical and then reset your attack. And that rips his tail off. One thing that is really good to master, guys, is deflection shooting. Make sure you get that under your belt. He's pulling too many G's for me to follow, so I go up and reset my attack instead of wasting energy. At this point, he disappeared under my nose, so I didn't really have a shot. So I had to just reset again. Alright, I had to pause right here. Alright guys, this is at this point right here, this guy really surprised me. I honestly didn't even know it was there. But what this is really going to show y'all, and I think it's the best part of the video, because you understand basically energy fighting. I've made a couple videos on that. This is going to show you what to do when you have someone who surprised you. You had a complete surprise. How to control the situation and not panic. I'm going to engage in a stall fight with a plane that excels at stall fighting, while using a plane that's better at high speed and high altitude. Complete opposites. But this is going to show you that no matter how your planes are when it comes to stats or statistics, or how a plane performs at various altitudes, which one turns better, floats better, whatever, at the end of the day it comes down to pilot ability and understanding your plane's limits and how to be gentle with the stick. At this point I initiate a roll using rudder. Multiple rolls to get him to turn with me. That way I can get him into some sort of a rolling scissors, which starts here. Always initiate a roll if you can. Helps get into a rolling scissors. By this point I've extended flaps, probably 40-50%, and this is where the stall fight begins. Like I mentioned earlier, try to stay above them if you can at all possible. When you're at a point like this where you're going, I believe, I look at the speedometer soon, I think I'm going like 200 kilometers an hour. Yeah. You have to be very gentle with the stick, guys. I mean, you're floating at this point. Go above them. Even though you're stall fighting, you still want to use energy conservative maneuvers, like using the vertical. You're low on airspeed, which is understandable, but you can still use the vertical in some aspect, some way, like I do here. I cut across the top. Get a nice little snapshot on them. Keep in mind, guys, this is a plane that excels at stall fighting. And this is where I kind of get in trouble, I believe. I try to do a sustained turn with the yak, which is something a 109 cannot do. And you'll see it, my plane starts to shake here in a minute. You can start to hear it shaking. It's about to fall out of the sky. So at this point I realize this isn't going to work. If I keep up with this sustained turning, I'm going to fall out of the sky, or I'm going to get killed. So I gain separation using my superior acceleration, and I extend. And that's what it comes to, understanding and knowing the feeling of your plane, guys. When you hear that shuddering like that, it's time to get out. And I believe I try to get him into a spiral climb. Come up over the top of him. force him to push his nose up so he can lose airspeed. And I kick to the right so I can hammerhead over the top. Then he's climbing, so I have to float just a bit. Left rudder right here, floating, or more of a skid. Still using left rudder. Now I let go of the rudder. Fly over the top of him. Give him the bleed energy. At this point I realize I'm all maxed out when it comes to energy. I have no airspeed, so I extend and reset. One important thing to do, guys, is whenever you find yourself in a situation where your energy is really low and you have the chance, escape the fight, because you can. You have the ability to do that in a 109. And reset. And always use the spiral climb. It's a great way to bleed an opponent of his energy because he's climbing, which reduces overall energy, and at the same time he's turning, which also reduces energy. Then once you get to the very top, around 300 kilometers an hour, check your speedometer. That's when you want to start dropping flaps and increase the amount or percentage the lower your speed gets. I know I can't follow his turn, nor do I want to. I go right back up and reset. Discipline, guys. Know when to engage, know when to disengage. It'll keep you alive. Use patience. And I don't know when it happens, but at one of these points he rage quits or he just leaves the game, I don't know. And that's where the video will end. But as you see, guys, I went from a position of a very disadvantageous position. He was on my 6, he held all the cards, he could have killed me, and he had the better plane at low altitude. But if you know your plane and you understand its capabilities, you know how to push it to the limit, you can always come out on top. No matter what the situation is, always remain calm, don't panic, and this is the result. Once again, I start another spiral climb. And I'm always referring to my airspeed. I always look at it. My airspeed, the reason I check it so much is because At 400 kilometers I'm climbing. Whenever it's an indication of when I need to use flaps, and it's also an indication of what maneuver I can do. Whenever I look at my speedometer, whatever speed I'm going, I think in my head, what maneuver can I do, how much speed will it drain, and will it be energy efficient? Always remember that. And the fight's over at this point. I think this is where he rage quits or he leaves the game. So stop the replay at some point in time here. Yep, and that's when he quits. Thanks for watching the video, guys. Sorry if the commentary wasn't as good. I am really tired. It's 3 a.m. But I hope you guys enjoy. Like I said, I will be putting timestamps in the video, and I will post it on the forum. Thanks for watching, guys.